So today, what we are going to speak about is how to create or how to use technological tools in order to create interaction. How we can use even the Zoom itself. I'm going to speak even about the Zoom itself, but also how I can use different methodologies and ideas to create interaction with my students. Obviously, many times I'm combining some of the apps that we used in our previous meeting together with some of the ideas and tools that I will going to speak about this meeting. And I think, whenever I'm speaking about a one big session, it's always a combination between ideas, between techniques, and I think it can be very helpful for you, even this session, to learn and to understand how we can use and how we can be more interactive in our session. And maybe the first example that I will show you is through the Zoom itself, because on the Zoom itself, so obviously the Zoom is a great app for video conference that we can speak and as we're doing right now. But also there are few tools on the Zoom itself that can help us to be more interactive. Um, the first one is obviously the chat, because we can write something in the chat. We can ask our participants to write something in the chat. But there are also few other tools. For example, there is an option of polls, to create a poll on Zoom. And I want to show you an example. So here you have a poll and you have the question in front of you, and I will ask you to vote. Did you ever knew that there is an option to create a poll on the Zoom? And you should you should see on your screen right now that there is a poll, and I can see, and I will show you in a second, that I can see that from the 15 participants, 9 already answered, and 4 said that they knew but they don't know how to do it, and 5 said that they didn't knew that it is possible. And I will show in a second how it is possible. Now let's say that I had enough answers, so now it's 10 out of 15, and I press polling, and I can share with you the results of the poll itself. I want to show you for a second how it looks like from my perspective as the host of the conversation. I'm now sharing my screen. Now, when you're looking at your screen, you see our conversation from my perspective. So as you can see, here down, I have different buttons that I can click on. I have security, I have the interpretation, I have everything, some of it like you, some of it not, but because I created a poll, I have the option of pressing a poll, and then I can launch the poll, and again, you can see the poll on your screen. And you can vote, and as you can see, I can see here if the my Zoom was in Russian, everything here was in Russian. Because it's in English, then all the rest here is in English. But because I wrote the questions in Russian, you can see the questions in Russian. And then when I want to end the poll, I can press end polling and share my results with you in a way that you can see the the answers to this poll. So how do I do it? How can I create a poll on Zoom? I first need to say that this option is available only for the premium account. Only if you have premium account on Zoom, you can create a poll. Um, Here is how I do it. So first, I need to go online to the website of the Zoom itself. Then I need to sign in to my account. After I'm signing in to my account on Zoom, then as you can see, here is my account, and I can go on meetings here to the left. I can press on meetings, and it will show me what are my upcoming, let me translate it to Russian, what are my future conversations on Zoom. So let's say that, for example, I have here one conversation. When I'm pressing, okay, on the conversation itself, and I'm scrolling all the way down, here it's in Russian, you can see that I have the option of creating a poll right here. When I press creating a poll, then you can see the option again right here. You can see that I can insert a title. I can decide if I want to do it anonymously or not. I can decide what is the question itself that will be online, and obviously what are the answers of the poll. When I finish to insert my answers, then I confirm, and I go basically after I have the questions of the poll. I can go to my Zoom itself, and again, now you can see my Zoom, how I see the Zoom as a host, and then polls appears here. It appears here only because previous to the conversation, I created a poll. So I have this option, and now, as I showed before, I can press on poll, stop share, and I can relaunch polling, and I can create again another poll. I can create as many polls as I want. If I'm not mistaken, up to 50 polls per conversation. So it is another fun way, at least in my eyes, to create interactive and to be able to interact with your participants. So this is going to be the first part of our conversation. Then I'm going to show you some ideas also of interaction, but also different methods of how we can create, how we can use technological tool in order to create a processing or the idea of let's process what we have learned in our class, and by the end of it, I will also speak about how we can create fake social media and how it can help us. But as I said, and I want to share my presentation for a second. Presentation, sorry. A second, that's it. If I'm sharing my presentation, you can see that those are some of the ways of how we can be interactive. One of them, as I said earlier, is the Zoom itself. You saw the Zoom and the polls, and there are many other ways. Very fun and unique way of interaction called Mentimeter. Mentimeter, in my eyes, one of really the best tools that there is out there in order to create interaction with our students. The idea of Mentimeter is that I'm creating the survey itself, the questions that I want you to answer previous to the conversation, previous to our session. And when I want you to answer it, I have two options. One of the options can be I'm sharing, okay? I'm sharing, you can see here, I'm sharing my screen, and I will ask you to go online to www.menti.com and then insert the code right here. Or other option is I sent to you directly through the chat. I just sent you a direct link to this specific Mentimeter, to this specific survey. And the idea of Mentimeter, so please press on the link or log in. It can be through your phone, it can be through your computer, laptop, whatever you prefer. And meanwhile, I will explain a bit about Mentimeter. The idea of Mentimeter is, as I said, to create interaction between the presenter, the teacher, the educator in the class, and the participant. It is also available to use when you're actually face to face, but it's also, I think, a great tool to use even online. So now, when you're on the Mentimeter, on my survey, let me move one slide to the right, and then you can see you have a question. And the question is, please rank from 1 to 5 your answer. And let's say that 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. And what I will ask you to do is to rank and to press on your phone submit. And then you will see what happens on the screen. So as you can see, when one person, and we have now the second person, when you're ranking, then I can see the results live. And it's a great way, as I said, to create an interaction with my audience because it's anonymously. And if I want my students to tell me something that they think, that they understand, that they want to share with me, and I want it anonymously, this is, in my eyes at least, a great way because they can see the answers. You can see the answers live, and I think it's a great way for the interaction. So, and I can also see, as you can see here to the right, that so far 7 participants have answered my survey. If I will click to the right, then I'm moving to the next slide. Now you have another question. And now I'm asking you to answer with a word. So please, again, you have 2 options, or 3 options, sorry. Please answer to the question with one word. That will be the best. And then press submit on your phones, or on your on the link that I sent. So as you can see, when we have answers, it starts to appear on our screen. And when I have answers, or someone also wrote in English, inspiration, that's great. When I have the answers, it's in the Mentimeter, it's called a cloud map, word cloud, sorry. And now I can see the different answers that people wrote, that people answered. And if there is one word that is appearing more than the others, then this specific word will be larger than the others. And again, it's a fun way to see and to interact with your participants. And obviously, it can be also open-ended. It can be a question that I can ask, and you can write whatever you want. And I just wanted to show you different types of questions that can appear on the Mentimeter. Now I want to show you how the Mentimeter looks like. So when I'm going like this is the website of the Mentimeter. Let's see if I can translate it. Yes, it works in Russian. Just for me, I am using the English version in order for me to understand what is written. So when I'm going to the Mentimeter, as you can see, I can choose, let's say that I'm adding another slide. Then, as you can see, I have different options that I can choose what I want. It can be a multiple choice that I can select. It can be a word cloud, as you saw earlier. It can be open-ended. I can ask you to rank if you feel from 1 to 5 or from too low to high. I can ask you to prefer something. And as you can see, there are many different options to create here on the Mentimeter. And you have not seen my last slide, but this was the last slide. You can also insert any kind of image or any kind of video, whatever you want. And obviously, even after the session, you can go to the results and then you can see what was the result in the survey that you asked, and then you can also ask yourself what are why, for example, I can look at this number and I say, okay, 8 people answered, why 4 think that it's only 4, why 4 said it's 5, doesn't matter, but you can also use the answers that you received in different ways in order to process it. So for me, Mentimeter is a great app. I'm using it a lot. I think that what you need to know is that there is a free option on Mentimeter for a free account. On the free account, you can create up to 3 surveys like this, 3 questionnaires like I just created. And in every questionnaire, what we want to do is you can have up to 5 questions. Okay, this is in a free account. If you have a premium account, like I just shared, then it can be much more questions and much more surveys that you want, and then you can have as much as you want. So in my eyes, at least, Mentimeter is a great option to create interaction. I want to share one more that I'm using also. Here, this is my slide. So we saw Mentimeter, we spoke about Zoom, and I want to show you Zittings. Zittings, the idea of Zittings is that Zittings can take, and it's also available in Russian, also in English. The idea is to take any kind of slide. Maybe I'll show you their video and it will be more understandable. The idea is that you can take any kind of presentation that you are planning to have. And here, as you can see in the short video, so let's say that you created a presentation. You're uploading the presentation to the website, and then you get a link to the presentation. You're sending the link to your participants, to your students, and they can log and see the presentation from each device. Doesn't matter if it's a laptop, iPad, a phone, and again, when you're changing a slide, it will change also in their device. But what they have added that is unique, as you can see right here, you can create a poll in the middle of the presentation as one of the slides, and then the participants will see the question, and when they answer, you can see the results of the question, the result of their answers immediately on your screen. So in a way, it is similar to the Mentimeter, but Mentimeter is not a slide. Mentimeter is a great option, as I said, to create a survey. And earlier in our class, later, sorry, in our class, when we will have the 15-20 minutes break in order to practice, then I highly recommend you to practice and create at least one survey in Mentimeter. I think it's a great tool that it can be very helpful for you. So this is Zittings, as I said, great tool. And one more that I want to speak about is QR code. I think QR code are very familiar, but the idea is that you can link your QR code to wherever you want. It can be free text or URL, and then scanning the QR code, and you have a QR code that will send you directly to wherever you want. I want to show you also one more about creating interaction in class. This one is a bit more complicated, so I'm not going to show how to create it. But for those of you who feel that they are up to a real challenge, Echo, great website, and I want to show you an actual example that Birthright Israel created with it. I will show you the idea of Echo, is to create interactive videos. So I want to show you how it looks like. This video is in English with Russian subtitles. So I want to show you. Let me choose subtitles. Here it's in Russian. Great. And here is the video. And I want to show you what you can do with Echo.
Hey you, welcome to Israel, a land which has been a bridge between continents, nations, and traditions for thousands of years, as well as a bustling modern state that ignites the imagination. Today we're going on an adventure, a Birthright Israel adventure. We will explore modern and ancient sites, we'll hit the beach, we will taste great food, we'll meet amazing people. But the best thing is that you decide where to go. Whenever you see the decision button, just click on the screen and I'll take you there. I promise. So, are you ready? Yalla, let's get started.
So as you can see, when he wants me to click,
Come on, just
I can click.
Okay, we're all set. Let's start our day by exploring the history of this country. Where would you like to start? Hurry up, history awaits.
As you can see, I can choose where I want to go. So if I want to go to Masada, for example, I can press, and then it will take me to the next stop. And I think that this is what's really unique about it. If I will go back, the idea is to create an interactive video in a way that will be able for you to choose what is the next step in your video. And whenever you're creating a video, then you can ask your participants to choose what is their next step. It is not easy to create it, to create such a video, but in my eyes, it's really, really worth it. It's unique and it is interactive. And if you have time to learn this specific tool, in my eyes, it's really worth it. The last tool on my list is Kahoot. And just give me any kind of sign or even leave the mute. Is there someone who is not familiar with Kahoot? I see we have comments. Okay. Okay, so, another one. מצוין. Okay, great. So let me speak about Kahoot for a second. Okay, so Kahoot became very popular. Let me go outside just a second. Here, I will share my screen. Kahoot became very popular in the last few years. The idea of Kahoot is the following. So here is the Kahoot. Let me log into my account. It is also available in Russian. I'm logging into my English account. But in Kahoot, what you can do is basically to create a trivia. And here is one game that I created for you just to show you. And let's say that I want it here. Let's say that we're doing it actual trivia. So now when I am sending you the link, okay, you have here is our game. Let's say classic. Okay. And what I want you to do is to go here. Please go to kahoot.it. I will put it on the screen. Here you have it in the chat. Okay. And insert our pin game key. Okay. The number is 5575347. And when you're logging in, you will be asked to insert your name.
А я почему-то не могу через линк выйти на Kahoot. Ну, то есть это нужно просто сделать так вот.
Я тоже не могу.
Just a second. Let me see what the problem is. Okay, Yulia, what is the problem?
Shlomi, what's going
okay. So let me send another one.
Линк просто неактивный просто.
Let me check. Now it should work. I will resend. Now. Let me share now the screen. Here. And I'm waiting a second for you to join the game.
Не дает присоединиться.
Just a second. Not able to join? If you're pressing on the link, then it should take you. I'll show you how it should look like. Kahoot.it.
Ну вот мы по той ссылке, которую нам дают.
They have to
Что-то
put in
там
the
получилось. Вы
number.
видите, что-то там.
Yulia needs to explain that they have to put in the number.
Есть. Да, вошли. Дальше что?
Okay, great. Great. So then you are entering the passcode right here. And then, just a second, I will move that.
Что-то не получается.
Great. And I'll share the screen again. And then we have few participants already in our session. And then I am pressing start. Okay, when I press start, basically the game starts. And then you will see on your computers or on your phones that there is a question. I chose in purpose very simple questions. And you can choose what is the answer. I gave 10 seconds. You need to choose what is your answer. And I see that one person already answered to the question. If I'm doing next, then I can see that Natalie is the one who answered the question. I can go next. And now I have true or false. This is this kind of question. Here is the question. And you can say that if it's true and it's blue, and if it's false, it's red, and you can answer it. And again, I will show you in a second how I created the game earlier. And you can see by the end of it that 4 said that it's true, 3 said it's false, it is the right answer is false, and I can see who is the winner, what is how much point they got, and all the rest of it. And it's a fun way to create, as I said, interaction with your students. I can add some volume. And here is our list of winners. And again, it's a fun way, let me close it, fun way to create different quizzes. When you go to Kahoot, you can create your own quiz. If I'll go to do edit, you can see that in my quiz, the quiz that we just shared right now, we had only 2 questions, but you can create more, obviously. Let's see if I can translate it to Russian. It is available also in Russian. I can choose how long I want each answer, each question to appear, how many points each question gives me. And again, in my eyes at least, it's a great app, a great way to create interactive games and interaction with your online participants. Let me pause for a second and ask if there are any questions. I also see that there are 2 comments, so let me move to the chat. Okay. In order to use them, I'm not sure what does it mean. Yes, that's correct. Yes, yes. Now I understand. Yes, because you need to present the question on share screen, like I just did. Any more questions? Something? No. Okay. So if there are no questions, let's continue to the next part of the conversation. Where I want to speak about different ways of how we can create processing and thinking. Oh, just a second. Great. Now I'm out. And I want to show you a few examples. First example is Answer Garden. Answer Garden is a way of app to write. It is in a way similar to Mentimeter. I can ask any type of question, and I want to show you the example. And this is also one of the apps that we will be able to practice after. Oh, just a second. Here, this is my link, and I want to send you a link. And now, as you can see, here is the link to the question. And again, I want you, please, to answer the question. And very similar to the Mentimeter, you have here the question, and when I will refresh, you will be able to see that the answers that we already have are from our previous session, but you can see that we have more answers on this list, and here I can see how many participants answered this specific answer. So for example, if let's say I'm pressing here, then I have the answer, then I'm doing submit. And as you can see here, this is the answer that I gave. Earlier, I had 2 people who responded like that, and now we have 3 people who are responding like that. And I can ask, any kind of question that I want. And again, it's a fun way. I can ask, for example, what do you think about this class? How do you feel with the break that we had? What do you feel about a specific topic? And here you have the answer, all the answers of your participants. And if I will refresh more, then if more of you, you may only, okay, more of you answered. So as you can see, we have more answers on the screen. It's very easy to create. How do I create Answer Garden? So here is the link to the Answer Garden, translated to Russian, and I'm just going to create an Answer Garden. And as you can see here, everything can be also in Russian, and you can create your own question this is the topic. So the topic of your question, you can write whatever you want in each language. You can decide what is the length of the answer and how long you want this specific survey to be open, and then to send it to your participants exactly the same way I send it to you. Just take the link here, this is our link, and when I'm taking the link and I'm sending it to you, then you can see all the answers right here. When we will have, in about 15 minutes, we will have some time to practice. Then I also recommend for those of you who think they can use it, to practice it at least one time, also with the Mentimeter. So this is one app and tool that I am showing you. I want to show a few more. And we have, as I said, about 15 minutes before of our break. Let me share my screen. Here is my presentation. I want to speak for a second about Future Me. Future Me, I think it's a great website. It's a great idea. The idea of Future Me is to write to myself a letter and to receive it in the future, okay? There is no Russian option here, but you can translate it to Russian very easily. And then you can write in every language that you want. You use English. If I'm switching to Hebrew, I have Hebrew on my computer, then it's switching to Hebrew, it's not a problem. You can also write in Russian. And the idea is that you can send to yourself a letter that you will receive in the future. You are deciding where you want, when you want to receive this letter, and then you're writing your email and you're sending to yourself or to your students or whatever. They are sending to themselves a letter to the future. At least in my eyes, it's a fun tool. You know, you can say, okay, now we started the semester. Write to yourself a letter that will reflect or that will share with yourself your hopes for the coming year or coming semester, or whatever you hope for to achieve. And the way how you're sending it, in a way you can create a processing with your students. You can think of what we have learned so far, what we have created, etc. And I think it's also, as I said, fun way to use. The last, I think the last one that I will speak about here on this presentation, no, I will speak about two more, Canva and Google Tools.
Можно линк скинуть на фьючере?
Just a second, let me switch. Yulia, what was the question? Oh, of course, sorry. Here. More questions? Okay, so I want to speak about two more, as I said. The first one is Canva. I'm assuming here, this is the link to Canva, and I will put the link in the chat in a second. I'm assuming that some of you are familiar with Canva. Canva is a great tool for graphic design, and it's also available in Russian. I will do the translation, but from time to time I'll switch to my English. What is unique about Canva is that whenever you're creating a graphic design, you can make it collaborative. So let's say that I'm going to my designs. Okay, here is my design. Let's say that I want my students to, as I said, I want to process with them what they feel about something specifically. So here is a design that I created on Canva. And it's a very simple one. It's a white board with, as you can see, with lines when I have names of people in each box. When I'm going to share, over here, you can see share, there is an option that I can share this Canva and I can share link to edit over here. You can see, share link to edit. And then I can copy link. I can send the link to this specific design, the specific design that you see in front of you. I can send it to my students. And then what they can do, they can design together with me this design in front of me. So let's say I'm asking them, for example, put an image that will reflect how you feel right now. There's a question?
Хотя уточнить, есть версия на русском языке?
There is, yes. I'm saying there is a Russian version. Just for me, because I don't read Russian, then I'm playing between the Russian and English.
Понятно, понятно. Понятно. Спасибо.
Okay, so let me take off. So there is a Russian version to Canva. And then let's say, as I said, okay, at the beginning of the class or the end of the class, I want to my students to show me how they feel. So I'm sending them the link to this Canva. Each student have his own or her box. And then I'm asking them, okay, go. And you have here the option to add, for example, images and pictures. And let's say that I am happy. Okay, so I want to write happy. And then I want to find an image that reflects the most how do I feel right now. Let's say that it's this image. And I can put this image under Shlomi. And I can even bring it to front. So here I have an image that reflects how I feel today. And if I will bring it, let's say, to the back, send it to the back, here I can use it. And that way it is here, and each student can put his or her own feelings about what they feel today. And again, I will show it. After I have a design, I can go to share, and whenever I want to share it with them, then I can share this with my students. The only challenge or problem using Canva with students that you need to be aware of is that the students need to have their account on Canva. They need to have their own account in order to create and in order to be able to edit. So previous to the class, you need to ask them to create account, or you need to take in consideration that it might take them a few more minutes because they need to open an account. For those of you who want to practice, I also highly recommend, in a few minutes I will give some time to practice, to go on Canva and to start practicing. You have the link right in the chat box. The last tool that I want to speak about here on this screen is all the Google tools that you have here around. Why I say Google tools? Because usually when we're using the different tools of Google, we are used to, for example, open a Google Doc or any kind of Google slide.
Можно линк? Можно линк?
Just a second, I need to move to the translation. Link to the, okay, I will show you how to, okay, so there is no link to this specific one. I will show you how I enter it. So let's say I open, let me share for a second. I opened my Google. I'm going to Google Drive. Okay, here is my Google Drive. So you need, in order to log to yours, and then when you're logging to your Google Drive, you can go to open new, and one of and some of the options, not here, just a second, usually it's like this, maybe here. Here. So this is how you do it the easiest way. So whenever, let's say I'm in my Google Drive, right click and then press more, and then you have different options of what you can add. So whenever I'm deciding what I want to add, then here, this is the easiest way, new and Google Slide, okay, or Google Doc. Those are the different options that you can do. Google Form, Google Slide, Google Sheets, Google Docs, those are the options. And when I'm choosing Google Slide, then I have the option of create a new slide. I want to show you one example that I created with the Google Slide. So what I did here in this example is I created for my students, and this is a page just for an example. We spoke about music, and we spoke about how much I want to work or on specific topics in my area, in my class. So I asked each one of them to go online to this website that I created for them, and to write here on the boxes what is the volume that they want to dedicate to a specific topic. So let's say for the coming year, I have here math, English, history, and language, let's say. And each and every one of them can decide how much volume they want to put in effort in each subject. Now, I created one for each student. So as you can see, here are their names. Each student has his own one. This is one, for example. And then when I pressed share, basically I was able to tell the Google that I want every participant to have the link to be able to edit. When I said to the Google that I want them to be able to edit, then if I'm sending the link, and just for the sake of the example, I can send you now the link. Here, I will put it on the chat. And now I sent you...
А можно вопрос?
Just a second, I will move to the... Yes, what was the question?
То есть ученики сами определяют, какой звук они будут использовать на определенной теме, которую вы задаете. Ну да. Ну я так и спросила, да. Какой звук, громкость, да. То есть они сами определяют для каждого в отдельности, не для всех. Каждый в отдельности для себя.
Yes, so this is what I decided. But for example, you can decide whatever you want. And also what I want to show...
Ну понятно. Спасибо.
Okay, so here, this is the first example. This is my design. Like you see, I can move it. I just took those icons, and through the icons, they can just, I just inserted. Let me see, just a second to switch to Hebrew. So I can insert, another shape, and I want another circle. Okay, and I'm just adding another circle in black. So I just did it myself, but because they are able to play with it now, they can edit it, they can choose whatever they want, and they can move the point from, or the circle from wherever they want. So you can use this, in a way, it is very similar to the Canva. The big advantages of using this type of app, use the Google, is that they don't need an account. If I'm sending this to you, you don't have to have an account on Google in order to create this type of activity. and you can, as I said, you can just send them. They can edit it with you. Any questions?
Надо просто попробовать все самим.
Yes, great. So now it's the time to try.
А уже
Thank you
после
for the
этого
time.
будут вопросы.
Great. Yes. Okay, so I wasn't like, okay, I will show it to you. It's a bit complicated, but not a problem. So Planner 5D is another way that I can show you how I am creating a fun way of interaction with my students. So Planner 5D, as you can see, and I will put the link immediately here. Chat. Planner 5D is an app that is using to design houses online. Here is in the English, but you can just switch it to Russian whenever you want. I will use the English version just for me to understand. Let me try Russian, and I will try to do my best. Let me switch it to Russian here. So for example, what I can do is when I'm going to my project, I can, here is in my project, I can create a project and I can show it to everyone. So for example, if I'm building a house, then I created, you can see I added few tools, and I can add doors if I want, or I can add any kind of subjects to my house, furniture to my house. But then what is unique about this is if you will go over here, you will see that there is an option of sharing. So an activity, for example, that I created with it, I asked my students to build a house that will reflect what they feel towards online learning, for example. How online learning should look like when from a house perspective. And the students themselves created different houses, and then when we went back to the class, to the Zoom, they shared with us what they built online and why, what are the reasons. And I found it a great tool to use. It's a bit complicated, but when you're playing with it a bit, then you can definitely learn how to play with it. More questions before we're going to
можно
practice.
посмотреть пример вот этот вот, который вы сказали, что ученики построили онлайн, ну, вот эти вот дома, какие, ну, как это выглядит? Вот, ну, просто интересно.
The Planner 5D, my example? Yes. Yes, I can. Yes, let me 1 second, I will send it to you. Just a second, and I will send a few examples. Meanwhile, that I'm looking for the links, I want to say that as we said in our previous meeting, and one of the comments, I think Galina said that it's very important to practice, and this is what we want to do now. We want to give, I think, about 15-20 minutes to practice what some of the ideas that we have just had through our meeting. So I will put now on the chat the different, and you have it, but I will put the different apps that we used today. And what I want you to do is, before I'm splitting you into rooms, choose now what app you want to practice. Also Kahoot. So let me give you Kahoot. Here is the link to the Kahoot. So choose now what apps you want to practice. And let's answer Garden also. And open it now. In 2 minutes, I will split all of us into rooms, and Yulia and myself will go in between the rooms, and we'll be able to help you and to answer any kind of questions that you have. We also spoke about Zitting, so here is the link to Zitting, and start practicing it. And as I said, we will be happy to answer any kind of question that you have. Let's see if I have it. Planner. I'm sorry that it's taking a few seconds. So let's split into the rooms first. Meanwhile, I will have the links, and then I will be able to share with you some of the links of the examples that my students actually created. Here I have it. So here is, for example, one, and I'm putting on the chat here. You can see this is one example. Here is another example. After they shared with me what was their final results. So you have now, I'm splitting, let's say, oh, I need, Debbie, are you on the call? Debbie, can you hear me?
Да, видно, спасибо.
Shlomi?
Yes, can you please make me the host?
Sure.
Thank you.
רגע. רגע שנייה.
Great. So now I'm splitting, thank you, Debbie. I'm splitting into 5 rooms, and I will give, we have, so about 15 minutes. If we need more, then we'll give some more time. Please start practicing whatever you want. Yulia and myself will go in between the rooms. Just want to say that when we're in the rooms, we don't have the interpretation channel. So Yulia will translate. So please give some time in between the translation, because you need to speak, she will translate, I will speak, and she will translate. So thank you, Yulia, for your help. So let's go for 15 minutes to the room. Okay, so now we're back, and we have 5 more minutes to the end of our session. I want to show one more tool, and then we're finishing off our class today. The tool called ZOOB. It's a website, not an app, or but I love it to use it. The idea of ZOOB, and I will share my screen for you to see, is to create fake posts of social media. You can create Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, iPhone, Instagram, and at least in my eyes, it's a great app. It's a great tool in order to create fun, interactive thinking in your students. Meaning, many times when I'm teaching, let's say for the example that you taught about a historical figure, or you taught about a specific event. So you can ask your students to create, let's say, a Facebook post or an Instagram page that will reflect what we have learned in class. And at least in my experience and in my eyes, it's a fun way to use technology and technological tools. And the students that I have, when I created this kind of program, students are always happy to use this kind of way of learning. But the reason why I left it to the end is just to say, on a side note, a few weeks ago, I gave this session to a different group. And then after a few days, one of the teachers called me and said, look, I'm using this website, but students now creating a fake social media on each other. So I just want to say about this specific tool, I think that it is important to know your participants and to know your students in a way that no one will get hurt or get offended using this tool. So just to summarize, what we spoke about today are different tools to create interaction. We spoke about Zoom, we spoke about Mentimeter, Zitings, Kahoot, different ways of how we can create interaction. We spoke about different tools and websites that can help us with processing and thinking and ask our participants to think about what they experienced. And we also spoke about how to create fake social media. In our next class, next week, we're going to speak about some more complicated topics, such as escape rooms, virtual escape rooms, virtual museums, and how I can combine a few elements in one project. Are there any questions, something that someone would like to ask? So if not, I will thank Yulia for translating, and thank you for participating. We will see you next week.